But I'm also like curious what to use for the opening. What
Okay.
do we usually do? We just talk about nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Here's some nonsense. And for you, I guess, not for me. So, you know how much I love Beyonce, right? Her tickets for her world tour go on sale tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Her pre-sale for like certain groups because you can like register for specific groups. I registered for
Mm-hmm.
two. I am terrified because of these tickets. That
Why?
they're probably gonna sell out. This tour is in such high demand.
Yeah.
um, and Ticketmaster had this whole debacle a couple of months ago with Taylor Swift's concert where it like shut down.
Mm.
Um, and a bunch of resellers got tickets first, and they were like reselling tickets for like thousands of dollars. So I'm just worried that
Mm.
A, I won't have access to the pre-sale to get like decent tickets, or B, it's just gonna sell out completely. I'm terrified. I want
I'm
to go so badly.
sorry.
I want to see her so badly. I love this recent
Also,
album, and I haven't seen her in years. I want to go.
side note, did not know you were a big fan of Beyonce.
Oh, surprise! I am a huge fan, like Beehive certified. I love
Oh.
this woman.
Hello, and welcome to Okay, But Hear Me Out, a healthy conversation podcast about our favorite fandoms and latest obsessions. I'm your host, Cassie.
And I'm Lisa.
And on this podcast, our friends and I will be trying to convince each other to dive into our latest favorites.
This podcast is mostly geared towards anime slash manga. However, we have some other not so guilty things we would love to share. There it is.
I know, I just laughed. Okay, before we get anywhere, if you're listening, this is pretty normal that something happens during the disclaimer. And I'm realizing now because I can see you fully that no matter how many times you say it, you still gotta look at it.
I still gotta look at it. It's right
I
there.
understand. I still have to look sometimes because I think I worded the intro very oddly. But if you are listening, first of all, welcome back. But should also let you know that this is going to be in video format. When this comes out, it'll be the day after that because this is coming out on Valentine's Day.
Romance. Love.
Romance, unrequited love. Honestly, that's what most of it is.
Us and the
But
2D characters.
yeah, mostly with 2D characters, and you're just like, get married already. So yeah, we this is for anybody who's watching the video, this is my friend Lisa, who sometimes people think we're twins, and then after a while we just roll with it because we're like, sure, yeah, totally,
Completely.
yeah, totally twins. So this is going to be an experimental video because I haven't actually done a video format of podcasting. So we're going to see how this goes. So if anybody's listening and would like to see what it looks like, tune in tomorrow, or I guess it'll be out the 15th of February, 2023. So it'll be on my channel, Sassy Cassie. Check it out. And if you are one of my people on YouTube, this is the nonsense I do outside of watching Naruto.
Oh my gosh, we could have used that for our opening because I've started it.
Oh, yeah, you started Naruto. Tell the
Well,
people how you feel.
I'm having a good time so far. Backstory, because no one knows this besides Cassie. I went through this phase as a kid where I couldn't like anything my sisters liked, and they love,
Naturally.
naturally, because 12. And they both love Naruto. It's one of their favorite animes, and I just refused to watch it. Not because I didn't think it was good, just because my sisters liked it. So I finally sat down and I've made it a goal to watch it so that I can get into it and they can talk to me about it. And I'm having a good time so far. It's not a bad show. I didn't think it was a bad show. I just never sat down and watched it. But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Cool. Well, now that we've sidetracked about Naruto,
Yeah, my bad.
no, it's okay. We didn't talk about it. We haven't talked in a bit because I've been ill.
And I've been working closings.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back into it. There is a rule of the podcast. If you are a listener, then you are familiar with this rule. If you are somebody from my channel, you may not be familiar that I have a rule on this podcast, and it's that our feelings are canon, meaning that the feelings that we feel are real to us. So we shouldn't bash others for having different feelings than ourselves. Everybody is entitled to their own feelings. We can't help the way we feel. Let us be in our feels. And that is the only rule. Just let people be in their feels and we'll be cool.
Yeah.
So now that we know that rule, the rule of the podcast, let us start the conversation. So, Lisa, you were actually going first
Oh
today.
gosh. Okay.
I know. I feel like it didn't work out. We switch back and forth who starts first, and it just happened to work out that Lisa's going to go first on this Valentine's Day episode.
Great with
And if
my
you didn't
chaotic notes.
Yeah, if you didn't check the title before you started listening, we're talking about One True Pairings because why would you basically shipping? Why would you talk about anything else for Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
You can't. You have to talk about this.
So I have 3. I don't know
Okay.
how many you have, but
I have 2. And originally I have you down for 2 in
okay.
my notes,
I will
but it's
change it to
okay
2.
to talk about 3.
Well, one I can make really quickly. It's still in the same anime. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so my first OTP is Princess Serenity and Prince Endymion from Sailor Moon.
Surprise,
I
surprise.
know. It's not like it's my personality, and I'm not currently wearing it.
Currently wearing a
But
bunch of Sailor Moon stuff.
it's cold in my room. Okay, it's a really comfy cardigan.
I understand.
But yes, that is my top tier OTP. I'll talk about it forever. I won't because she has to edit this. But
I
it's
appreciate you.
you're welcome. Yeah. What you helped. I don't know if they can see. No, you can't. It's kind of real deep in my background. But that
Oh yeah, I
photo.
gave you that before you moved away and left me.
Oh my gosh, she's never gonna forgive me for that, you
No,
guys.
I will not.
But it's really bad. But it's a picture of Princess Serenity and Prince Endymion that she gave me for my birthday, and I love it. So it's on my con wall forever.
Oh well, our birthday,
Yes, our birthday because we are born 3 days apart.
3 days apart. This is another reason why we think we're like, yeah, we're definitely twins. We were born 3 days apart.
Yep. Anyway, so my OTP, my like I said, my notes are all over the place. So
Okay,
the
try your
reason
best.
I love them is because they're destined to be together. That is,
Oh yeah, you did talk
yeah,
about them like the soulmate thing.
they are complete soulmates. All they're just destined. They're the in my notes. They're the only version of like a Romeo and Juliet type relationship that I like because I don't
Mm,
really like Romeo and Juliet. It's not my favorite allegory. I don't know. Some people how they describe some love stories as Romeo and
mm.
Juliet type. I don't
Like
like that.
tropes,
Thank
like
you.
love
Oh my
tropes.
gosh,
Yeah.
words.
No, you're good. I, I'm not good at English. I've never been good at
Yeah,
English.
that's not my favorite trope because if you've read the original play of Romeo and Juliet, it is not
Yeah, awful.
romantic. It's a tragedy. I think most people skip over that part, but
Yeah, no, it is. It's a
they
tragedy.
use it. But essentially, they are in a Romeo and Juliet type setting because Serenity, excuse me, is the princess of the moon, and Endymion is prince of the earth, and they are forbidden to ever be in a relationship. But Serenity like sneaks off to Earth because she's enamored by it. Meets him, they fall in love. It causes a bit of a war, and they both die. But they get reincarnated in their next life. They find each other again. They always find each other. And then in their future life, because there's like 3 different lifetimes throughout this manga, they are still together. So to me, I think it's beautiful that no matter what their love, and they always find each other throughout all their lifetimes, thousands of years. I adore them so much.
That is really sweet that they always find each other. They're just destined to be.
Yeah. And it's great because, like, in the anime manga, when we get to their regular lives and jump into their story, he's trying to find the princess. Like, Endymion, that's his goal is to find the princess. And, like, what else would he need to? But because he loves her. There's a reason, but it's because he loves her.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love like throughout their entire lifetime, like they're always finding each other. And anytime something bad happens, because Mamoru is a damsel in distress, their love is what saves them. Usagi's love is like essentially the biggest tool that saves him from being hurt or brainwashed. It's that deep. And their love is also kind of based on a Greek myth of Endymion and Selene, a moon goddess, which I think is
Mm.
really, really cool.
I
The
did not know
creator,
that.
yep, the creator of Sailor Moon is like big into Greek mythology. You can see that throughout her manga with names and references and influences. But in one version that I read of the Selene and Endymion myth is Selene, the moon goddess, like fell in love with the human Endymion, and I forget which god. I want to say Zeus or Apollo, one of them, and asked them to like keep him that way forever because he's like young and beautiful. So he falls into an eternal sleep. Not as romantic, but he stays the young and beautiful person that she fell in love with.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one version. I'm sure there's others, but in my little bit of research, I saw that one and I was like, oh, that's sweet, I guess. Sleeping Beauty, yes. She's like, stay pretty. But that's why Serena
I'm
and
not sure I like that. Continue. Go forward.
I was like, it's okay. Listen, Greek myths are weird sometimes, okay?
They no, not even sometimes. All the time.
Yep, sure. But my main point is that, like, through thousands of years, three different lifetimes, they always find each other. And in their future, they're married, they're ruling Crystal Tokyo, they have a adorable daughter, Chibi was it. And I think
She
it's
annoys
sweet.
me, but go
No,
ahead.
she is annoying, but I still think she's beautiful. Like her character design, I love.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. I
adorable.
understand what you
But
mean.
no, she's like 6 to 8, okay? She's can't help it. She's a child. I love that the fact that she is like, a culmination of their love. Oh my gosh, that sounds so corny. But I love it.
Yeah, especially considering I who you are.
Like, I know. But that's my first OTP. They're gonna always be together. I can talk about them for ages. I won't for your sake. But I love them. I think they're perfect together. Also, design wise, they're just really pretty. Like, look at them. Look at them. I love them. And Endymion was one of my first anime crushes. Okay,
Really?
yes, him and Inuyasha, those two were like it for little
Well,
Lisa.
no, I understand Inuyasha because you have like an obsession with white-haired
I
characters.
do, yeah. But Sailor Moon was like my first anime, so like
Mm.
Endymion, I was like, oh yeah, that's doing something for me. But yeah,
It's okay. Everybody has an anime crush. At least
I
one.
have multiple. I don't have one.
I know I said everyone has at least one. I'm
Yeah.
saying most people have more. If you're like super in-depth otaku mode, you have definitely more than one. But well, maybe not everyone, but everyone who's like an anime fan has at least one.
Yeah.
At least one anime crush.
Real quick, my second OTP is Haruka and Michiru. They're also in Sailor Moon. They are Sailor Neptune and Uranus.
Mm.
Yeah. They are a queer couple. They were like the first representation I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't even realize what this was when I was a kid. Like, it
Well,
wasn't, I didn't have the
yeah,
language
because
for
they
it.
censored it out the wazoo. Oh,
Well,
they're just cousins.
they censored it in the dub, but like, you still knew. So before I read the manga, I obviously watched the dub version of the anime, but it was still very obvious because like they only censored the language and not their animations, kind
Actions.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the way these two act together, because they love each other, you can clearly tell that they are a couple. And the language of calling them cousins just didn't match, and I'm just like, no, they're girlfriends. What's I don't act like that with my cousin. When I was younger, they were like, I credit them to my queer awakening. I'm just throwing that out there, but I didn't know like exactly what that was as a child, like the language queer relationships when I was a child. When I first saw this at 8 years old, and I didn't really like ask my mom. I don't think she really realized what was in Sailor Moon until years later when I'm like, hey, I like these two characters and they're gay. But I love that they were like the first kind of positive representation of a queer couple for me, besides the whole censorship of making them cousins when they
Yeah.
clearly weren't. I can still tell, no, they are in a relationship, they love each other, and they're not like shrouded in trauma, which is beautiful in my opinion. And they
Yeah.
also were representations of like different types of queer folks. So Haruka is technically non-binary. They have both pronouns in the anime and manga. They didn't do that so much in the 90s though. They just had Haruka as her. And Michiro is bisexual because she is with Haruka, but they've shown throughout the anime and manga she's also attracted to and has flirted with men. But she ends up with Haruka at the end, and they're I love that they're like love each other and they're a good queer representation, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I adore them. That was just a quick little segue for Still Sailor Moon. Second segue. Here's my last OTP. Kagome and Inuyasha from Inuyasha. Little me wanted to be Kagome so bad. So bad. In the sense that she was just in Inuyasha, not her actual life. Because if you watch that show, they go through so much.
They do.
This one, I will admit, like, gave me stress as a child. It was a very, very slow burn.
Yeah.
Which is fair, because the main point of the show is not their relationship.
Yeah, it's to collect the jewel
Jewel
shard
shards, yes,
things.
for the
Yeah.
Shikan jewel. But
See,
this
I know
one,
things.
proud of you. But this one was
Thanks.
just like so slow. And at the time, because it was like one of the first animes I watched, I didn't like really regulate that. I'm like, that's not what the point of this is. But I was like, you two need to get together, clearly. And it's
Yeah,
just,
the point where you're like, just get married
yeah,
already.
they're like children. But it's
Yes.
just so slow. And it's a lot of will they, won't they, mainly because of all the adventures they're going on. That's what we'll call them. And the fact that Inuyasha's ex, who's like a zombie, keeps coming around.
Yes. She is one thing I know that annoys me about
Oh,
Inuyasha.
she is annoying. Yes, I can't stand Kikyo.
What was her name? Kikyo? Is that
Kikyo.
it?
Hmm.
Ha! I remember
Yeah,
things.
because Kagome is her reincarnation. So
Mm,
a bit of it, I won't be super upset because he's literally walking around with the reincarnation of his first love, and they look very similar. And it doesn't help that everywhere they go, people who knew Kikyo always like confuse Kagome for him. So like, I'll give him some leeway because I'm like, yeah, this is your first love, reincarnated. You're now walking around with her. Feelings can be scrambled, and the fact that
yeah.
Kikyo was brought back and she's also following you sometimes doesn't help. But like from the beginning of the anime, Inuyasha immediately wants to try to protect Kagome, which is a big dynamic in their relationship. Like he's always trying to protect her, which I think is really sweet considering he didn't. You've seen his personality in that movie. He's very hot-headed. So
Yes.
he pretends he doesn't want to do things and then he'll actually do them because he
Yeah.
cares but doesn't want to care.
Tsundere.
But it's fine. So I like that, and they always try to protect each other and help each other from the beginning, which I think is really nice. And they both of them, anytime one or the other is really hurt or possibly dying, their reactions to it is so big because they're both so scared of losing the other. And I know in like some of the fandom people talk about how like toxic the two of them could be to each other. And I like to remind everyone that they are children. You know, how relationship swabby were you at 15, 16, 17? On top of that, they're running around demon filled forest trying not to die and collecting Shikan
Yeah.
jewels to do
Saving the
this
world.
whole, yeah, casual. So I'm like, give them some leeway. And like the main point of the story wasn't their romantic relationship. So clearly that had to develop over a time, which it does, which I adore. And then at the end, they end up together. She stays in feudal Japan with him, which I adore because you must love someone a lot to give up your modern life. I mean, granted, he wouldn't really do well in modern society, being half demon and all, but
Yeah.
she loves him a lot and stays behind to be with him, which I think is really sweet.
That's cute.
Yeah,
Cute.
they are cute.
Okay, it's my turn.
Yay. Let me drink
Thank
my
you for
coffee.
talking to us about your OTPs. So mine is going to be a little different because one of my OTPs is not canon, will never be canon, but it doesn't stop me from loving them. And
Okay.
one of them is canon, which will be a slight spoiler for you or anybody who hasn't watched that specific anime. Now, here's the thing. I don't know which one to talk about first. Do I talk about the controversy first, or do I talk about the canon first?
Canon.
Canon. Okay. We'll get to the controversy later.
We'll end the episode in
So
a high note.
we'll end the episode with controversy.
Yes.
All right. So my first OTP is Gajil and Levy from Fairy Tale. So I know you haven't watched Fairy Tale. We're going to talk
In
about
its
Fairy Tale in a
entirety.
later episode.
Yeah.
Huh?
I haven't watched it
Yeah.
in its entirety, but I've seen some of it.
Yes.
And then I stopped.
So I love Fairy Tale. This used to be like one of my top 5 favorite animes of all time. And manga. I love reading the manga too. So it's hard because, okay, I'm just going to stick to my notes. Stick to your notes. I wrote very specific points so I don't get off track. So I have some basics about each of my pairings. The first basic is that the 2 main ship names for this is either Gajeve or Gale. I like ship names. I think they're adorable. And it falls into one of my favorite tropes, which is the enemies to lovers.
Oh, such a good trope. It's one of my favorite
love
too.
that trope. I hate that I love it, but I love it.
No, it's so good. What are you talking about?
So good. Yes, they are full on enemies to lovers. And it's kind of like the opposites attract and misunderstood boy and like this really good girl. Like it just has so many things going for it that I'm like, ugh, perfection. And yes, it is canon. I wrote in here, it is canon. Doesn't become canon for a long time, but it is canon. So there are several arcs, like most anime, there are several arcs. There is an arc called the Tenro Island arc. And since that arc, they were paired up together as a team in that arc. And ever since then, I have loved and shipped them. There were moments that they had before that, but since that arc, I have loved them and shipped them. So I said they were enemies to lovers. He used to be in a different guild because Fairy Tail is made up of like magic guilds. He used to be in a different guild. That guild attacked Fairy Tail, started a war with them. They lost, obviously, because Fairy Tail's our main. It's the title of the anime. I just hit something. And then after he ends up joining Fairy Tail. So a lot of people in the guild have like bad feelings towards him. I probably should have said like a spoiler alert if you haven't watched Fairy Tail, but just to explain, he was in a quote unquote enemy guild, joined their guild. So a lot of people in their guild just don't trust him. And very specifically, he did attack Levy's team. So yeah, I really, really love this ship. Secondly, I take more solace knowing that they are canon because I never know what to expect in shonen because shonen's not about the romance, which is fine. But it's like, hold on, I have to like follow my notes or I'm going to get distracted. So I basically said that I don't mind when shonen just kind of peppers in romance because it makes it less when it's not just about the action. They have like little freckles of romance. But I know that also that shonen's not about the romance. It's about the action or the adventure. So in regard to this ship, I thought for sure that this was just going to be like in the wings forever. Like it was just going to be something that they have those little moments throughout and was like not going to be a thing. But like they have so many moments that I was just like, if they don't become a thing, I'm going to be so upset. And it's kind of like Nalu, which is Natsu and Lucy. I feel like they're just it's gonna be forever until they become a couple. But they did become canon, so it really makes me happy.
I can see that. Look at you smiling.
Yeah, like, my cheeks. I'm so happy. I love all their moments together. They have silly moments and serious moments. There are some times when it's just kind of like, I don't want to say slapstick, but kind of like gags. They have moments where it's just like ridiculously silly, but then they have moments that are super serious when like you were saying like somebody's like severely injured or dying or something like that. And they have, well, I said they have so many solid ship moments that eventually I just started loving the ship more than the main one, which is Nalu, which I mentioned before. And I still love them, but this pair is like top of my list. I have like a bunch of examples of moments that they have together without giving too much away. They have like these moments where they're singing and performing in the guild hall together. When they team up on Tamriel Island, obviously that's when I first started shipping them. When they worry about each other over the various battles, saving each other constantly. I mean, there's this part where she uses magic that can turn words into like what they actually are. So if you spelled fire, it would turn into fire. And he uses iron dragon slayer magic, so she'll make iron, and there's a little heart in the O, and it just makes me. I'm like, this is little stuff like that. I'm like, ah,
They're in love.
they're in love. She loves you, and you are a tsundere, but he's not. But he admits it. But the moment when he admits that he loves her, oh my gosh. I know this is probably way spoilery, but that moment brings me to tears every time. Oh, so good. Chef's kiss. Oh, I'm getting so warm. You know, when we talk about our allergies, I'm getting so warm. My nose is running. Okay. The controversy. Any guesses as to who my second OTP is?
Is it Katara and Zuko?
Yes!
I knew it.
I will never not love this ship. I have a Katara and Zuko mug.
Do you really?
I do. I bought it online. Listen.
Yeah, you were talking about it, and I was like, this sounds like their dynamic so much. And I'm like, yeah. And it's not that controversial. It's a very popular ship.
It's a very popular ship, but there are so many people out there who are like, well, it's not canon. She ends up with Aang. Yes, I know that.
Everyone knows that. We've seen
Everyone
the show.
knows she ends up with Aang. I knew she was probably going to end up with Aang because they met in the beginning the whole time when he first saw her. I get it. That doesn't mean I don't love Zuko and Katara any less. I accept that they're not canon, but in my heart, they were meant to be.
You're not the only ones. I know their voice actors, Dante and May, also ship them.
Honestly, I have that in my notes. The only validation I need is that Dante Bosco is a Zutara shipper.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's the only validation I need. Anyway, so the basics of the ship, we should know. Everybody should know. The ship name is Zutara. Amazing. Love that ship name. And it also falls into the enemies to lovers, opposites attract kind of trope. Love it. It is not canon. Once again, I know it's not canon. Don't at me. I understand it's not canon.
Your
but in my
feelings are
heart,
valid.
I love it so much. So, getting into my talking points, I say in the beginning, I know it's not canon. It will never be canon. However, it doesn't prevent me from loving it any less. That is one of the things I love about the concept of an OTP is that it can be anything, canon or not. They fall into the opposites attract kind of thing in more ways than one.
Oh, yeah.
Their elements are opposite of each other. They are on opposite sides of the war in the beginning until Zuko joins Team Avatar. And I just love that it speaks volumes about their personalities and how, I don't know, just everything about them is opposite, but they work so well together when they eventually do team up. And I'm just like, Random side note, my friend Liz, I got her to watch Avatar. And a lot of people know on my channel that I've been introducing her to some anime. She had never watched Avatar before.
Oh.
And I'm mad that she watched it without me because I wanted to see her reactions. But I got her to watch the first 3 episodes together. And then she went and binged the entire series.
As one does.
Yes, as one does. And except for the last couple of episodes, she didn't watch them for a really long time because she found out that Zuko and Katara don't end up together and she didn't want it to be true.
Okay. That's funny.
And I was like, girl, I understand how you feel, but you gotta watch the end. It's so good.
Oh, it's such a good show.
It's such a good show. I also talk about how they have so many growing moments together, and it makes me feel like they make sense. Like Ba Sing Se. I mean, granted, he ended up going with Azula in the end, but that moment that they have in the cave before they get rescued and before the battle and all that stuff, I was just like,
Development. And then
development.
He ruins it.
Yes.
Your face.
Exactly. Character growth. And then, of course, field trip with Zuko. Her field trip with Zuko. I love that episode so much. When she,
when he finds out how powerful she is.
How powerful of a waterbender she
Yeah.
is. We already knew.
He was shook completely.
Yeah. but he didn't say anything. He was just
What
like,
could you say?
big eyes. Yeah, you can't say nothing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when they face Azula together, ugh. And, like, so many people used to give me crap about liking Katara so much. She is my favorite character in the first series of Avatar. But I was like, what's not to love? Also, she's the one that actually defeated Azula.
She's a great character.
She's a great character. Okay, my next point. I don't like Zuko with May.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do.
I like May, like not the voice actor of Katara, the character
Yeah.
May. I think she is cool. I love that she lends her abilities to the argument of how awesome non-benders are.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of non-benders in Avatar, and I really love how cool and capable they are. So I love her in that respect. However, I think being with someone who is exactly like you is not necessarily a bad relationship, but their relationship, it's just weird to me.
I felt like it was kind of one of those that was like obvious. Like,
Yeah.
you're here, I'm here, we should be together. And it's like, no.
Yeah. Now, I think if I remember correctly, they didn't actually end up together like in Korra.
No.
He ended up marrying
I mean,
somebody else, but
there's not a lot of his backstory, but she's not there. No.
yeah. So, but like just from the Avatar standpoint, them ending up together, like I just don't like them together. Probably because I liked him better with Katara, but I was just like, eh. And then, of course, my last note at the bottom, all the real validation I need is that Dante Bosco, the voice of Zuko, ships Zutara. That is all the validation I need in my life.
It's very valid. I mean, he is the voice actor. Like, he knows the character better than
Yeah.
any of us.
Yeah. All the
That's funny.
validation I need. So, yeah, those are my 2 OTPs, One True Pairings of all time. I have a couple of resources-ish. They're videos.
Mm.
I have a Zuko and Katara relationship timeline video that I'll put in the description. And then I have a fan comic on YouTube, like a link. There's a fan comic of a Zutara ending, which I thought was super cute.
Oh, I want to read that.
Yeah.
I just have my little article, the Celine and Endymion myth.
Yeah.
That I badly paraphrased.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. Going to segments, I don't really have any recommendations. This is not really what we can have recommendations for. But I do kind of have one that I kind of just made up.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what to call it exactly. Like, I wrote shipping season.
Okay.
Because it's Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out in February. Basically, it's not really a segment, but anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching, if you have any OTPs, please let us know in the comments. I want to know if somebody else has OTPs.
I have others. This is going
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah. There are others that I really adore, but these are like my top 2 tiered One True Pairings ships of all time.
Yeah. We have so much material for next year.
Yes, we do. I cannot wait for next year.
Please
I
slow
know
down.
that we talked about it. I'm going to cut it all out, but we talked about it and we have so many things to talk about for next year's episode. But still in that same vein, if you have any OTPs, please let us know in the comments below. I want to know.
Yeah.
It can be canon or not canon. I don't care. We're all accepting here.
Give me all the non-canons because I want to
Yes.
look into them and be like, yes,
Right?
I see it.
I know. I feel like non-canon ships are far more interesting than canon ships. Even though canon ships, you can look up like videos on YouTube of like all their moments together, and that's really adorable. But still, anyway, so moving on from segments because we don't really have any other than letting us know what your OTPs are. The plugs portion, because I'm bad at transitions. If you would like to be a part of the conversation, you can follow me, Kassie, on Twitter and Instagram at SassyKCreates.
And you can follow me, Lisa, on Instagram and TikTok at bway_baby425.
Where she is watching Naruto for all of you who watch my Naruto videos.
Cassie's are
for the
better.
first
Mine are
time.
just like 3 minutes. And they're all over the place.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I'm having a good time. Yeah.
Good. And if you have any respectful thoughts, feelings, you need us to know, your OTPs, or anything else that you want us to be as obsessed with as you are, you can go to my website, sassycassie.com, where this podcast, and all other manners of the abyss have gathered. I have a recommendations page on my website. I don't think anybody on my channel, like my YouTube channel, knows that, but I mentioned it on this podcast a lot. I have a recommendations page on my website. Anyway, if you'd like to support me further, I have a YouTube channel, which there will be a video of this video version. There will be a video version on YouTube of this. So if you are a podcast listener, you can check out the video. Or if you are one of the people on my channel, which is Sassy Kassie, and you didn't know that I do a podcast, this is the video version. Check that out.
Surprise.
I also have a Patreon, Sassy Kassie. I don't have a lot there, but I do have some full versions of my reaction videos to some of my Naruto videos, and I'm starting to put Shippuden on there. So if you're interested in full reactions, I also post every month. I post like a leaflet that has my monthly schedule. So every release, all the topics of our podcast episodes, what episode is coming out, if I'm watching more anime, or what the Experimental Wednesday video will be is going to be on there. But anyway, you could check out those things. You could check out my YouTube, my Patreon, or you can leave me and Lisa a review and let us know how we're doing. We know we're not great, but we try.
We're having a good time, okay?
Yeah, we're having fun. Talking about anime nonsense. And
Always.
every now and then non-anime nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you all for being a part of the conversation and hearing us out. My outro usually for my videos is thank you all for watching. And until next time, bye.
Bye.